right, Fanta, I know you wanted to talk about Indiana's loss because they had a weird week. They knocked off Purdue at home, number 4 team in the country, arch rival, beat them in their own building. And 72 hours later, they got run out of the gym by a Michigan team that is not very good this season. So what's going on with these Hoosiers, Fanta?
Well, a team that got very excited, read their clippings, watched the videos, looked at social media after an incredible win over Purdue.
Spent too much time at Kilroy's. Don't forget about that.
Spent too much time at Kilroy's, and then this is your true colors. This is when true colors come out. This is when you show me that you could lose on the first day of the tournament, be out of the tournament by 4:00 on Thursday, or that you could be sitting on in the second round. But do I trust you? It's hard. It's hard to trust you. You're on your home court. Assembly Hall is rocking on a Sunday. It's a CBS broadcast. And you just lay that egg to Michigan. And don't get me wrong, Michigan finally just said, we got to ride Hunter Dickinson. Let your All-American caliber player be the centerpiece of everything. And Hunter Dickinson took it upon himself to win this game. And there's still time. I still think there's time for Michigan to maybe make a February surge. I really do. That being said, I want to get back to Indiana. This is a disappointing loss. This is a really, really, really disappointing loss. I was ready to start crowning you and to start saying it's great for college basketball when Indiana basketball is good. Well, give me the crown back. I'll take it elsewhere. I'll take it to Burger King. I can't crown you, okay? Indiana, in this game, guys, what happened to Rob Finney? I mean, he only has 2 points in this game. I don't know what went on.
You want to know what I think it was? I think it was they got up for the rivalry game. They played a rivalry game at home. They won it, and then they came back, and they were like, it's just a classic letdown spot. And I think you also got to have to – I mean, look, Michigan shot 11 for 17 from 3. How often are they going to shoot 11 for 17 from 3?
Not often.
They're getting better, but I think that had a lot to do with Indiana just not showing up. I think it was just kind of as simple as that. I mean, look, Tio, you played at that level. When you land a huge win, how hard is it to come back 3 days later on a Sunday, no less, on a Sunday, to come back 3 days later and put together the same kind of effort?
I mean, this is why Bob Knight was so good. He could get his teams to handle greatness. It is so hard to handle greatness. You go and you beat Purdue, and it's a fantastic win. Huge win. Finney's great. Like, how do you handle the next thing? And that's the big difference right now between Indiana of today and Indiana of old. Can you handle the next game? Because basketball is a long season. We said at the beginning of this podcast, it's a dog days. January through about mid-February is a dog days. Like, you got to get a big win, and then you got to turn around 3 days later, and you got to win again. And that's what wins conference championships. And that's what shows your team's mental toughness. That's the biggest thing. I mean, Rob Finney kind of reverted back to the mean a little bit, because I stated it a little bit when we interviewed him. Like, they've been hard on him, and probably rightfully so, because he's been very up and down during the course of his Indiana career. He's 1 of 5, 0 of 3, played 18 minutes, didn't really supply much of anything. 3 fouls. This Indiana team has to learn to be great again.
They were 3 important fouls, though, okay? They were three big fouls.
Yeah, that's what I like to tell myself when I attempted to play defense and had 4
You're right,
fouls.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's no excuses, though. There's no excuses.
Not. But this is learned. This is learned. Like, if you're going to be a great program again, and Indiana fans want so desperately for Indiana to be great again, like, you have to embrace greatness with an ability to move on to the next thing. And that's so hard to do when Kilroy's is 2 streets down.
True.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, it has a lot to do with it. You have to learn to rebound and keep going. It's hard. Like, we go triple overtime whenever I'm in college, play Florida State at home. You got to turn around. You got to win the next game. Like, you have to be able to regroup and refocus. And that's what great teams do. and they have to learn to handle greatness. That's the biggest problem.
It's also, I think I'm gonna tie this back into Villanova because I know that
great point. Great point. I'm gonna let
like,
you make it. Go ahead. Great point.
The Villanova has an expectation of winning. So when they go out and they win a crazy game, they're like, all right, we got the job done. On to the next one. Whereas with Indiana against Purdue, like that was their Super Bowl. Going out, that was the biggest game of their season right there, and they won it. And I don't think that they expected to win. So when they won, they celebrated and they came out the next game and it was like, all right, what do we do at this point? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So
absolutely.
I think you have to get back to the point where you expect to win every single one of those games, where when you have the number 4 team in the country come in your building, you expect to win that basketball game. So it's not oh my God, look what we did. Like, wow, let's go celebrate. Oh, I'm going to Kilroy's shots on me by for Rob Finney. But yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying though. It's
but here's the thing: when it says expect to win, I'm sure they expected to win. That's why they played like shit. Like I'm sure they expected to win. Your habits when you're becoming a great team are what carries you through things like this.
It's different because maybe the expectation is the wrong word. Maybe it's not accepting a loss. You know what I mean? Like we're going here to get a job done. Like we're not going to play basketball.
But they have to know what winning things are. Indiana,
also,
you have to consistently embrace winning things consistently.
Exactly.
Like it can't just be with Purdue. You have to consistently embrace winning things.
I think what happened with Indiana is they went out and they won that game against Purdue, right? Playing with a certain level of confidence. And then against Michigan, you come into that building like, oh man, it'll be awesome if we do the same thing again today, instead of walking in there with the exact same mindset that you have when the number 4 team in the country comes in. There's a level of like professionalism. There's a level of, okay, this is the job that we have to get done today. There's a level of like, maybe even just like blue collar work, whatever cliche you want to throw out there. There's a different mindset. Go ahead.
That's what separates good from great. That's what separates the good from the great. Like
handling greatness consistently with your habits.
There's a reason why Villanova's won more than anybody in college basketball over the last 8 years. And if it were so easy, everybody would try it. But that's not how it works. And that's why sometimes when you talk to Villanova players, there's actually a robotic element to them. But that's just the demeanor of the program.
Sometimes, when have you had a conversation with a Villanova guy where you felt like, oh, wow, that guy might actually have like personal feelings?
Tell you what, I'll give the NCAA tournament. Hopefully a media member's gotten this far in the podcast. NCAA tournament tip during the tournament, folks, because you're interviewing players, you're trying to get people. You want to talk to Justin Moore.
Justin Moore's the guy.
Justin Moore's a good interview. Yeah.
Right, we're going to get him on. We're going to get him on After Dark. Then he's the guy.
Justin Moore's got some really good personality. I love Colin Gillespie and have gotten him unfiltered off the air. On air, though, it's Villanova basketball. I'm following Archdiacono and Brunson. That's just how it is. That's how they represent themselves. My main thing was
the man's never smiled in his life. Okay?
Oh, he smiled.
Go find me Colin Gillespie smiling. Right?
I'm finding one.
I thought it was so funny.
The dude had 28 the other night in a come from behind win, and like he's just sitting there with that same look on his face.
My favorite thing, Fanta, when Fanta interviews him and asks him nothing about basketball, and he goes, well, it's just Villanova basketball.
It's like, come on, I asked you for your New Year's resolution. You go, I guess to be better at Villanova basketball. I go, that's not a resolution. I go, like eat more broccoli. And he's like, all right, But look, that's just how they handle themselves. If it were so easy, everybody would do it. That's not the way that Indiana has to do it. In general, I want to see how the Hoosiers respond here this week. And if they can show me that they're a lot closer to being a team that can win a tournament game than being a team that I really have trust issues with big picture. You have an All-American on your team. And Michigan reminded us that they do have a guy who can be that on Sunday. And Rob, you were kind of perplexed when I said it. I don't think we'll see if this ages terribly, but I'm going to go out on a limb. I don't think that we've seen the last of the Michigan Wolverines in this college basketball season. I just have this feeling that a stretch run is coming here. I really do.
No, I agree. But my take is that they're never going to be what we thought they were in the preseason, just because their guards aren't good enough and they're like the way that they're built is. Two of their probably 3 or 4 best players are Hunter Dickinson and Moussa Diabate. And those guys essentially play the same role in a Juwan Howard system. You're not going to be able to create enough space when you have two guys who are most effective from about like 8 feet and in. The reason they were great last year is because you had three dudes that were pros that could play the 2-3-4, that could defend the 2-3-4, that could play, make off the bounce, that can make threes in Livers, in Franz Wagner, and Shawnee Brown. And you just don't have that this year. You just don't. So they're going to be good. They're going to find a way to get it done. Juwan Howard's a great coach. Hunter Dickinson is a great player. They're starting to make some shots. The confidence is building. They're going to make the tournament. I feel very confident in saying that they're going to make the tournament. They're just never going to be that top 5, top 10, Big Ten title challenging team. They're just not. It's just the roster. It's just the way that it goes sometimes. The roster did not end up being as good as we thought it was going to be.